All right, top of the morning, everybody. Top of the mid-morning. Happy Tuesday, or Doozyday. Doozyday. I know everybody calls it Telly Tuesday, but today it's Doozyday. Hope everybody's doing good. Sun's shining today. A little bit, peeking through, which is nice. Let's see. Let me just run through those changes real quick. I'm just trying to wake up. There's not much melodic going on over those changes. I'm just kind of stretching my fingers out a bit. You think of the A section over B minor. Here's how you play it. B section is 7, E7. Just bounces back around through that. There you go. Easy peasy. Thanks for everyone that's been buying Jedd and the Shed shirts. We're doing really good. It's awesome. I think I might have told you, but I was staring at a Tweed Deluxe schematic and I just stole some of the little images. These are like grounding things from a schematic. And then there was some arrows, signal flow arrows. Anyway. Thanks everybody that's been buying shirts. It's awesome. Someone sent me an interesting question on Instagram about playing the Strat, and let me grab it real quick. I want to talk about it just for a second, and then I want to run something by you guys. This lovely fellow's question was, and you know, this is probably all up for debate because different people have different opinions about this, but his comment was that when I play a Strat, it doesn't sound necessarily like a Strat. And am I, you know, aware of that, or is that a thing, or, you know, and what it sparks in my mind as something that's interesting for conversation is a lot of times, like if I'm on a session, or even if people hear my music, a lot of the comments I get, or, you know, the main comment I get about my playing is that I don't necessarily sound like other people. There are things that I do, I feel like, that definitely point in specific directions, like, you know, Buki. No one's taught me more on the guitar than Tom Bukovac, you know, over the years. He's showed me so many things, and, you know, there's no doubt that I have him as he is part of my playing, which I'm very lucky to have learned so much from him. And there are other people too, and not directly, but just people that I sort of worked on deciphering some of their technique kind of codes, you know, like my style, I feel like, is sort of like a weird mishmash of Albert Lee, Danny Gatton, you know, Brent Mason, 90s country music that I listened to, you know, any shred of guitar playing that I could pilfer from those records from that era, because that's really, you know, the era that I grew up with heavily in real time. And Tony Rice, and, you know, went through a big acoustic phase for a couple of years where I really just played acoustic. Tony Rice, Brian Sutton, and then, you know, Jimi Hendrix and David Gilmour and Daniel Lanois, especially Lanois pretty heavily for a while. I definitely was down the rabbit hole with. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that, you know, I think developing a sound or a style, one way you can go about approaching it is just taking small elements from as many different places as you can and just finding the things that you relate to naturally in your playing. It can help you, I feel like it could probably help you formulate your own approach and style. And if there was anything I was ever interested in teaching, because I've said this many times, I don't feel like I'm much of a teacher, and I'm not really trying to be a teacher. I'm just trying to get some things across musically that I think about. But if I was ever going to formulate a plan to kind of, more of a formal plan to help, I would want to work on figuring out how to help people sound like themselves, because I feel like you can go learn any solo by anybody nowadays on YouTube, and you can figure it out note for note. There's tons of people that can teach you how to sound like and play like everybody else. But I feel like what's maybe interesting to me is figuring out what you really sound like. And I don't know quite how to do it yet, but it's got my wheels turning. Anyway, all that's to say is when I got that question about sounding like I sound on the Strat, I don't think about it. I just play, and to me, instruments are funny things because some will tell you what to play and dictate what to play, and others will be more like a blank canvas. And I like both of them. So, I don't know. I just don't really know how to answer that, I guess, other than I just sort of have my own musical taste, things that I go for that are just things I've kind of accumulated over the years. And it's funny, like Vince Gill, he has hundreds of amazing guitars. They're all different in their own ways, but every time he picks one up, he sounds just like Vince Gill. And I think that's because he formulated his style by just cherry picking little elements out of other people's gumbo, and eventually formulating his own dialogue with the instrument. So there you go. I was able to finagle the pink Strat, which I'm very happy about, because this guitar is really, I feel like it's opening a lot of doors for me in strange ways. I'm sure like a lot of us have been listening to more Jeff Beck lately, with his passing, and I've never really had I've listened to Jeff for years, and definitely picked out little bits and pieces of what he's doing and tried to apply them to my playing, but I've been intensely listening lately and digging into all kinds of little bits and pieces. There's a song called Seasons on a record, I think it's just called Jeff. It's got like Jeff written on this little blue thing on the front cover. It's like from the early 2000s. Anyway, there's a song on there called Seasons, and it's sort of like very electronic and heavy fuzz guitar in the beginning. As you get toward the end of the tune, there's like a half a dozen phrases where you really get each, like a really good example of him using the bar a certain way, him approaching a chord a certain way, him hitting high notes and then hitting an open note with the bar in a certain way. I don't know, it's just like it kind of blew my mind the other day. I was like, wow, there's actually so much information in this one song that I could lean into and borrow some things with the Strat and with the bar, and figure out how to incorporate some of that into my sensibilities without sounding like I'm just trying to be Jeff Beck. You know what I mean. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I hope everybody's doing good, and I'll be here all week. I think tomorrow I've got I might be at Omni tomorrow, studio in town, so I might shoot a little Jedd in the Shed from Omni. And then I'm writing on Thursday with a couple friends, so I'll try to get one in before I head into town, and then Friday I'm open. So anyway, I'll try to get in here this week. and talk about different things, whatever occurs to me. I guess maybe the long play on this idea of, you know, designing something a little more formal teaching wise is I'd like to do it someday, eventually, when I really feel like I've got something more concrete to present. You know what I mean? Because people have been sending me messages about private lessons and things like that, and I just don't know how comfortable I feel doing that yet. You know, maybe. It's a maybe. It's a hard thing to kind of schedule too with what we have going on around here. Anyway, but I am interested by that. I'd be more interested in teaching you or teaching people how to sound like themselves more so than how to, here's a lick, play it this way, you know, or something like that. Because there's tons of people that are great at that. You know, Guthrie's awesome at it. You know, Tom's great at it. Brett Papa's great at it. There's all kinds of people that are killer at showing you stuff. But for me, you know, I probably said this 5 times now. Sorry if I'm going on and on about it, but I got a spark going in my mind now. That's what I'd be into, and maybe we could do it as a group thing once a year or something. You know, like we could do it over a weekend, or we could make kind of like a Jedd Heads mini convention. Meeting of the Jedd Heads. That sounds crazy. Okay, hope everybody's good. Happy Tuesday, and I'll see you tomorrow.